Hey everyone, I'm here to talk about my 565A recap on my pseudo talk show. So as a newcomer to instructional design, I began this course wanting to learn how to use newer technologies and evaluate them more effectively for course design, essentially. I didn't realize that this would mean revisiting some learning principles that I had learned long ago, when multimedia and design weren't really part of my teaching repertoire. What I really learned in this course is that we can use general frameworks and standards that support online learners, but really that each online course is a new ecosystem that should be considered in its own context. I found the sections model, 7 principles for good practice in undergraduate education, backwards design, and cognitive load to be some of the most useful and flexible frameworks that I have utilized this semester, and that I will take with me when considering future course creations. Using the sections model for designing our Canvas course, I thought about media in a whole new way because it was tied directly to some of the learning outcomes that we created. I found that having these outcomes with a clear sense of how media would play a role in the course to be really helpful in considering how to use and model media in our course, and that'll be something that I take with me as an instructional designer. The 7 principles encourage me to think about my commitment to design for how students learn, and considerations that I hadn't really thought about before, in particular for online learning. When I first read about Benoit's case study in this course, I had limited practical experience about considering how to design an online course and selecting the most appropriate platform. I think that if I stay in higher education, at least for the next few years, the main platform will already be decided for me. However, I'm now way more comfortable thinking about which tools can be integrated into an existing platform and how to go about that. I'm also way more sensitive to how long it takes to produce an online course that is built on active learning principles and different types of interaction. When designing an online course, I think it's really important to be aware of the time and commitment of the teacher, not just the designer. So if a teacher wants a course to be really interactive, then they will be spending just as much time and maybe even more as a face-to-face teacher does, interacting with students or the content itself. So the teacher's pedagogy is important to determine before the design itself. Assessment wasn't really a huge consideration for me at the beginning of the term, but I found that thinking about the assessment and outcomes first to be really important in our course. Utilizing backwards design, my partner and I were able to map out each module and then decide how to best present the content. In terms of cognitive load, I was surprised by how much content we had to cut out from the online course, as many of the tools that we selected created an engaging activity with the appropriate information already embedded within. So we cut out a lot of redundant information, but also had to think about the supplemental resources that students might want to see. It was a surprise to consider how much selecting a learning tool actually makes a difference to how and why you include certain content. My biggest takeaway is that technology should not get in the way of learning, whether it's content delivery, assessment, or interaction. If students are expected to use media or to support their learning, then they need to take the time to practice and explore using that technology, similar to how we did in this course. As I provide instructional design support for faculty, this will always be at the forefront of my recommendations and decisions, and I'm really thankful for that. Thanks so much for watching, and it's been a real treat being in this class. Thank you.